भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भगवद्वेषिणी यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ज्ञानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are in the 46th verse number 46, and in the section which is Jnani
56.
Oh, 56, yes, sorry. 56. I was wondering why everybody is doing it all at the same time. I said, okay, some gadbad I must have done. 56. So, we are in the section called Jnani Lakshana. The indications of who is a Jnani, and this section is not given to us to look at everybody in Rishikesh and then decide for ourselves who is Jnani and who is not. Okay? This is not like a bird watching enterprise. Alright? You just take your binoculars and go and then watch the birds and find out what each one is. This is not to put the Jnani under the binoculars or under some kind of a scope to find out if they are Jnanis or not. Then why give Jnani Lakshanas? For all the people who want to be Jnanis, so that we can take it as a sadhanam, as a practice. And so in that spirit we are seeing, we already saw the first two characteristics. The one who is able to let go of the fancies that enter the head, even as they enter the head. How many fancies? All the fancies. Sarvan manogatan kaman. How is that possible to give up all the desires without being stuck with the desire of giving up all desires? So, to understand that, we had divided the desires into two. One type of desires, you take them for a little ride. You are in the driver's seat, alright? And the desires have their seat belts and they are all passengers. And you decide where to go, you decide how fast to go, you decide when to stop and ask them all to get off. But imagine a scenario where these desires bind you and gag you. They just overpower the driver, that is you, and then they put one sellotape, that big packing sellotape on the mouth. You can barely breathe, half of it is already covering the nose, and then they tie the hands behind the back and put you in the dicky of the car, in the back of the car where the luggage goes, and they start driving. And they don't know how to drive. And they are all completely drunk. All the passengers are drunk, and they don't know how to drive, they don't know where to take it, and where will this kind of a scenario land? The car will land in a ditch, definitely. So those kinds of desires which hijack you, kidnap you, overpower you, that is what has to be avoided. That is what one has to overcome through delayed gratification and through prayer. When you pray, the desires let go. And through prayer, seva, karma yoga, all that, those kinds of desires are taken care of. So the first criterion was that. The second criterion was the one who is happy being themselves. Then we saw in the next verse, in the first half of the 56th verse, we saw the following. We saw the one who is dukkheshu, under any kind of sorrow, anudvega is there. Udvega is not there. Udvega, agitation, affliction. Anudvega, total shanti, absence of agitation. So that means what? This is something which is very interesting and comforting. It is nice to know that even the jnani can have dukkha. Not emotional pain, but physical pain can be there. Dukkha is of many kinds. Physical pain may be there, but it is localized only to that. And it is dealt with objectively without involving the mind and without having this victimized feeling. Why it is happening to me? Why me? That kind of a feeling is not there. Anudvikna manaha. Then in Sukha also, the Jnani doesn't hit the ceiling. And then what? Let's say the Jnani wins the lottery. Then what? Next day goes and spends it all. Never will happen like that. So, one who is balanced in both situations where the mind is not agitated. Then the next criteria in the same 56th verse is as follows. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. One word, it's a compound. So the one who is Vita means Vigata, from whom the following have departed. Raga. And whenever Raga is mentioned, what to include?
Dvesha.
Dvesha. Very good. Dvesha has to be included because they are twins. You can't think of one without the other. So, Vita Raga Dvesha. So, the one from whom Raga and Dvesha have departed. How did they depart? By the two-pronged methodology. The first part of this methodology is understanding the vision of Vedanta, that one is naturally full, free, not needing anything to complement oneself, to make oneself whole, not needing to accomplish anything, not needing any validation, not needing anything other than myself. This is the vision. And in order to assimilate the vision, the second thing is the way of life called Karma Yoga, turning work into a means of worship, into a means of self-growth, emotional maturity, etc. This way the Jnani has become Vitaraga Dvesha, from whom all the ragas and all the dveshas have departed. And even if they may not have departed, they are not causing problems right now. That is what we have to understand. They are incapable of causing any problems. Why? As I told you the other day, it's like putting your hand in the mouth of a baby that doesn't have teeth. It may bite with its gums, but you don't get hurt. So the raga dveshas of the jnani, whatever remain, they are toothless, harmless. In fact, they become a vibhuti for others. And I gave the example of the feather, peacock feather of Lord Krishna. In fact, I think it would be correct to say that we enjoy Lord Krishna's peacock feather more than Lord Krishna himself. We enjoy the fact that he wears yellow. Kunja Vihari, Pitambara Dhari. We sing songs like this. And then we just love that he plays the flute. So his raga for flute, etc., just become in the form of vibhuti. Vibhuti means glory, vibhuti also means ash. It's like supposing there is a fire, and then everything gets burnt, and then there is a newspaper. Yesterday's newspaper was there, and then that also got burnt. And then when you go in, you still see the newspaper, it looks intact. You can even read the print perhaps. But try to pick it up, what is it? Ash. Vibhuti. Not available for transaction and unable, the raga dveshas have nullified, neutralized, have been neutralized, so they are no longer available for any kind of mischief. Vitaraga and then bhaya. The Taittiriya Upanishad and the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad both make it very, very clear that the cause of bhaya, what is bhaya? Fear, being scared. The cause of fear is duality. The Brihadaranyaka Vakya reads like this: Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. Indeed, because of duality, one is afraid. And in the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is said, Udaram antaram kurute adhatasya bhayam bhavati. Udaram means, ara means the razor's edge, the edge of the knife. How thin is a blade of the knife. Even if that much width of a difference you make between yourself and another, fear ensues. The second thing is the cause of fear. Second thing means what? If the second thing is an ant, will I be afraid? No, I won't be afraid of a small ant. But you don't know that. You don't know how big that second thing is, and you don't know how dangerous it is. Small or big, it could be dangerous. Coronavirus, how small it was. Each virus, how small it was. 3 years it held the globe in its little paws, in its hands, in its thrall. 3 years nobody could go. The whole world, is it easy to shut down even a part of the world? But here the whole world was shut down for a good 3 years. Even after vaccines, even after everything. And so the presence of another thing other than I becomes the cause of fear. And so these sages, these jnanis, what have they done? They have understood Brahman as the only thing there is, and that I is nothing other than Brahman. There is nothing other than me. There is nothing unlike me. There is nothing like me. There is nothing other than me. See, even the word fear, bhaya, in Sanskritam takes fifth case. Fear from. Fear of. Even in English we say fear of. Fear from this source. But when there is no other source available, how can you be afraid? Oh, but I am afraid of myself. It is possible if the inner split has not been healed. And the Bhagavad Gita addresses this inner split as well in the form of the Mahabharata war. The inner split also has not been healed. Then you can be afraid of yourself. Because one part is the knower, another part is the doer. One part loves to follow dharma, the other part is a baby Duryodhana. does not want to follow dharma. One part is the adult, another part is still a tantrum throwing mischievous child. Therefore, one can be afraid of parts of oneself. But here we are talking of a person who is yukta, together, whose heart is not given away to various pursuits, whose heart is with the person, and internally also one is sound. One is not having splits, so there is no cause of fear. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the first source of fearlessness is surrender to Bhagavan. Na vibheti kadachaneti. The bhakta is never afraid. Why? Because the bhakta is very, very clear. Bhagavan is a source of protection for me. Bhagavan is protecting me. The bhakta is very clear. So therefore, the Taittiriya Upanishad says, na vibheti, is not afraid. Kadachana, at any time. This is the first iteration, first level of growth. And then there is more to grow after this. The second level of growth is na vibheti kutaschaneti. Kutaschana is not afraid because there is no second source to be afraid of. Not even afraid of Ishvara. Not even because one has understood that there is nothing other than myself alone. And so so the first freedom from fear is relative. The second kind of freedom talked about in the Taittiriya Upanishad is absolute. And here also that absolute fearlessness is talked about. Oh, but something may happen to my body, let it happen. It's okay, let it happen. Because one is not identified with the body. Oh, but I may die. Okay, no problem. No need to come back. It's okay. Done. And oh, but I may be injured and something may happen. I may be paralyzed. I may lie in bed and whatnot. That's okay. More time for contemplation. This is how the jnani thinks. This is how the jnani's mind works. Vitaraga, bhaya, and then finally what? Krodha. Krodha is anger. And once Pujya Swamiji, one man came to Pujya Swamiji and said, Swamiji, I have good news. Yes, I have overcome my anger completely. Swamiji made his voice very quiet and said, I do not believe you one bit. And he said, no, Swamiji. He was a little surprised to hear that. He thought Swamiji will give him chocolates or something to celebrate his conquest over anger and him becoming a Vita Krodha. And so he thought he is going to be felicitated. But instead Swamiji quietly said, I don't believe you. Just in this normal, soft voice. He was surprised and he became a little defensive. No, Swamiji, I have tested myself in every single situation. In all the situations where some button is pressed, and I have tested myself. And Swamiji then continued to say in that same soft voice, you are not only a show-off, but also a liar. Swamiji said like this. And there were other people in the room. They knew what was happening. By this time, you also must know what is happening. Even without giving the plot away, you know what is happening. And as you know, very predictably, the man got extremely angry. What do you mean, Swamiji? I have done so much work and you are not believing me. How can you call me a liar? How can you call me a show-off? And Swamiji just said, see, you are angry. Then he gave him chocolates after that. So, this is, Krodha. You think it's in your hands. From where it comes, how it blindsides you, And how all these things came out of my mouth, nobody knows. Why did they come out of my mouth? Why did I get so angry? Why did I get, this is the modern lingo, triggered. Very nice word. How did I get triggered? At least if you say triggered, you are accepting responsibility. I got triggered. Instead of saying the other person's fault, they made me angry. They did not force you and say, please get angry. Nobody can do that. And what is this anger? The Bhagavad Gita herself, in a few more verses, is going to say that anger is thwarted desire. Whenever the desire is cut off, the desire, an unfulfilled desire, when the desire is not fulfilled, it turns into its shadow side, which is anger. So think about all the times you are angry, it's because some desire has not been met. That is what it is. So this is krodha. But here, the person is free of all the binding desires. The remaining desires are vibhutis for everybody to enjoy, as good as a burnt newspaper, not useful at all, not harmful. And so the person is free of krodha because there is no agenda. Managing anger. You cannot say, I won't be angry. Otherwise, we will all become like that man who went to Swamiji. So even now, in corporations, in offices, they don't talk of anger control. You can't. Because if anger was in your control, of course you would control. Who wants to be angry? Raise your hand. See, nobody is raising their hands. Nobody wants to be angry. Anger happens because you cannot control. So therefore what? You just learn to manage the triggers. You manage the anger. And that is the first step. That is at the level of sadhana. Manage the anger. How to manage the anger? Don't talk when you are angry. Okay? Two things you can do to manage the anger. Especially, now we have so many people here already ready-made in the 6-month course. So tell your classmates, tell your friends, please point out to me when I am angry. Please. And you can make an anger pact. And you can do that. I will point out to you when you are angry, and you can point out to me when I am angry. And then my responsibility is to say, I am right now, this is not a good time for me to talk. Let us have this discussion later. 2 minutes later, that person may come. Can we have the discussion now? Now? No. Later. And then you take your time to process the trigger, to manage the trigger, to get some space, to get some air, to go and have a talk with Mother Ganga and then say, please take it away. In your wonderful rain-filled copious waters, this anger I'm throwing in there, these triggers I'm throwing in there. It is not a burden on you. Oh Mother Ganga, take it away. This is the first level of management. You don't talk at that time. Second, you then process the anger, you talk it out by yourself, you write it out. You write it, but don't send that email or that text, okay? Yeah. You can compose it, but don't press the send button. Because by the time you press the unsend delete button, they have already read it, okay? So, it can never be too quick. So, therefore, the second level is to process whatever is going on. So for that particular incident, this was managed. Then on the longer term, what to do? You take the anger to the altar, that is Ishvara. Ask Ishvara to alter the anger. That's why it's called altar. An altar of surrender which has the power to alter you. That's why it's called altar. So you take it to the feet of Bhagavad. Remember we talked about that little one there? What is his name? Apasmara. That also is manifestation of all these offensive, defensive, everything. So for the Jnani, since there is no agenda, then whatever is there there is no saying I want it this particular way. There is no saying like that at all. Whatever comes, the person enjoys. Whatever is not there, the person doesn't long for. Agate swagatam. Whatever comes is welcomed. Nirgate, when it goes, bye-bye, that's all. No, there is a very free way of and spontaneous way of leading the life. So such a person is known as Munihi, contemplative, Mananashilaha. That is it. That is this verse. Next one. Yas sarvatra nabhisnehaha. Yas sarvatra nabhisnehaha. Tat prapya shubhashubham.
Tat prapya shubhashubham.
Nabhinandati nadveshti.
Nabhinandati nadveshti.
Tasya prajna pratisthita.
Tasya prajna pratisthita.
More of the same here. What was talked about in the last verse is being fleshed out here a little more. Yaha, for one, sarvatra, everywhere, in all situations, anabhisneha. Sneha, affection. And what kind of an affection? A clingy, velcro-y, and what else, gooey, gluey affection. The word snih means to stick. It's used for oily things, oily, gluey, gooey things. Clingy. Affection is okay, but that clinginess is sticking to something. Sticking to something for your own validation and well-being, that is what is talked about. That is called sneha, abhisneha, clinging to everything and everybody. Not some people cling to one person, one or two people. Some people cling to the whole world. And so they are not able to let go at all. And so therefore, abhisneha means extremely clingy. Okay? And then anabhisneha means not clingy at all. Where everywhere. You take the person to a restaurant, they are not clinging to the dishes, neither are they clinging to the person who took them to the restaurant, nowhere. And they are not clinging, when they come back to the house, they are not clinging to the people at home, they are not clingy at all. And so this is sarvatra anabhisneha. Under what circumstances is given in the next pada? Under the circumstances of gaining something wonderful or gaining something bad. Tat prapya, gaining this what? Shubha and Ashubha. Gaining Shubha, wonderful things, Punya, effects of Punya. Shubha means Punya, auspicious things. And then Ashubha, difficult situations, inauspicious situations, Papa. When the Papa fructifies, when the Punya fructifies, they are not clingy. Sometimes when good things happen, the people cannot be by themselves. They have to have somebody to tell. They have to advertise. They have to be with people. Because they get restless. They cannot enjoy something wonderful by themselves because they are afraid it might be taken away or so many things. Who knows? But they want something. Somebody there. At least one person. Whereas certain other people are the opposite. When happy situations come, they are okay. But when difficulties come, they want to catch hold of somebody. They cannot manage by themselves. One or two people must be there. In the, what is that called? Close a circle. A circle means 4 or 5 people I have. And these are the people I call. These are the people I complain to. These are the people that have my back. Have my back means they support me under all situations. These are the people I rely on. Clingy. This is what it is. Like a baby monkey clings to its mummy. Clingy. And so the jnani has a total absence of this clinginess, regardless of whether it's in a pleasant or an unpleasant, auspicious or an inauspicious situation, completely free from clinging to people or to the situation itself. I want to extend this situation. Clingy. And sometimes what happens is that when difficulties come, then also the person clings to the difficulties. Come on, who clings to difficulties? You will be surprised. People cling to difficulties because that is a way of gaining some attention. That is a way of gaining attention, that's a way of gaining sympathy. And when one complains loudly, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. That is, there is a saying like that. So if you complain very, very loudly, then people will say, oh, you poor thing, let me bring you some fruits, let me bring you some ice cream. Then you will say, yeah, thank you, thank you. You eat the fruits along with the ice cream, nice fruit salad, and then after that what? Another person comes and again you make a long face. Oh, terrible, what a horrible thing. Would you like some fruits and ice cream? Yeah. And quietly the last ice cream dabba is put in the bag so that nobody can see it. So, the jnani is free of all these antics. No such tricks. Free. Is not affected by the situation. How is the jnani? How can the jnani be like this? Is given in the next verse. Yada samharate chayam.
Yada samharate chayam.
Kurmongani sarvashah.
सर्वशः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता
Cha means and. Furthermore what? Yada, when the person is able to withdraw what? The sense organs from the land, the garden of the sense objects. Indriyani yada samharate. Samharate withdraws unto oneself. Yada samharate, when the person is able to withdraw unto herself or himself, what? This indriyani, sense organs. From what? Indriyarthebhya. Indriyartha means the sense objects. And an example to illustrate this is given. Kurmaha angani iva, just like Kurmaha, the turtle, tortoise, these animals in this family, what do? When they see danger, will the tortoise run away from the danger? No, people woke up finally, okay? And the childhood story of the rabbit and the tortoise came back. Okay, good. So, it can't run. It will not be able to run. It's a very slow moving animal. So Bhagavan has given a protection. What does it do? Withdraws into its house. That the shell becomes the house, and then if any predator animal comes, it just sniffs and thinks it's a stone and goes away. It will poke it, prod it a little bit, no reaction. Goes away, then the turtle slowly comes out limb by limb. All 6 things are inside. 4 legs, head and tail. All of them go inside. There is just a little shell-shaped stone lying there. Stone-like shell lying there. But of course, the turtle does it in response to fear. The example is not going that far. This is a limited example. It's not that the jnani is afraid of the sense objects and withdraws. That's not the idea. At will one can withdraw. Unlike a person given to alcohol. The person given to alcohol may say, I can give up alcohol any time. How do you say that? I have already given it up 10 times. That means I can give it up again. So, it's unlike that. Here, at will, the person says, no, no more, not at all. And then, what happens? Then the person is free of that particular thing. That means the person is free of that impetus. So, the jnani may enjoy many things without indulging in any one of them. That is the idea. So, indriyani, the sense of organs, are with myself. I am the one operating them. They don't take me and drive me crazy. They don't hijack me from my pursuit. And so, kurmoganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. We will call such a person's knowledge as well established. The Sangati, the connection to the next verse is as follows. Supposing I have developed a lot of willpower, and because of the willpower, not because of jnana, not because of self-knowledge, but because of willpower, I can go without eating for 3 days. No food. I can go without seeing anybody for 3 days. No seeing anybody, no socializing, no talking. I can go without talking for 3 days, let us say. Then, what is the distinction between the person who has a lot of willpower and the jnani? What is the distinction? Jnani also can go without all these things. He is not dependent upon friends, he is not dependent upon sense organs and sense objects, contacting the sense objects, etc. What is the difference between somebody who, through the sheer use of willpower, has developed these qualities of being able to withdraw the sense organs from contacting the sense objects, more as a way of repression rather than what? As an outgrowing of those desires. What's the difference? Ajnani just is under repression, and if you repress things for too long, what happens? Like a cooker without bursting. Cooker bursting means you have the kitchen walls are all painted yellow because there was dal in it. And the lid of the cooker goes and sticks on the ceiling. I have seen this myself. Alright, yeah. Lid looked everywhere and the lid was up there, stuck to the dal on the ceiling. And everywhere there is a new artwork on the kitchen walls. This is what happens when suppression, you suppress, volcano comes, Mount Fuji, something. Suddenly there is activity and it cannot be suppressed anymore. Suppression only works for a while, but the effect of jnanam is lifelong, always, always. And so to illustrate that, the next verse is provided. Vishaya vinivartante
Vishaya vinivartante
Niraharasya dehinaha Rasavarjasya
Rsavarjam rasopyasya
Param drishtva nivartate.
Param drishtva nivartate.
So, Vishayaha vinivartante. Vishayaha here means we can take it in two ways. First way, the Adi Shankara takes it as sense organs, not as objects. Usually, Vishayaha means objects. Vishinoti badhnati iti Vishayaha. That which binds is called Vishaya. That's the derivation of the word Vishaya. So, but here Adi Shankara takes it as sense organs. We can also take it as sense objects, we'll see later. But first Adi Shankara takes it as sense organs are called what? Vishayaha. Vinivartante, come back. Sense organs come back. For whom? Niraharasya dehina. Dehin, the indweller of this body, here Jiva, Atma, whatever. So if you know yourself, it is Atma. If you don't know yourself, Jiva, the indweller of the body. So what does the indweller, for the indweller of the body, Dehinaha, Vishayaha, Vinivartante. Like the turtle limbs come back, the sense organs also come back. Why? Because the person is repressing and not enjoying the sense objects. One is doing what is called Ghora Tapas, tremendous tapas. Tapas beyond one's capacities. One can try, one can keep doing. And so like this, Vishayaha vinivartante, for whom Niraharasya. Nirahara means the one who is not indulgent. But then, Rasavarjam, even though one is not indulging in them, Varjam is devoid of the taste, devoid of the enjoyment, devoid of the rasa. Rasa means taste, enjoyment, indulgence. Devoid of all that, the longing still remains. This is the difference between Jnani and Ajnani. For the Jnani, the longing has been erased. The root of the activity of the sense organs contacting the sense objects, that root is what? Longing. The root cause is the longing, is the desire. That desire has been bhasmikritam, has been converted to ashes for the jnani, but for the ajnani, it is not yet gone. The behavior has changed, but the longing remains. Adi Shankara in the Bhashya says, even a murkha api, murkho api san, even a deluded person who is a murkha means aviveki, without viveka. Even a person without viveka can practice this kind of a restraint, can practice, no problem. But then what happens? Like a person can go away from their house. They can become a parivrajaka. They can go to sit on a mountain. Before they were in a metro. They could order food with all these, what is that? You have these, what are they called?
Swiggy.
Swiggy, Piggy, all these things, yeah. We are the Piggy, the Piggy orders from Swiggy, yeah. So then, you all these, and one more is there, something, tomato, all these things you can sit and order. This person was used to all this. And then said, no, I'm giving up cell phone, I'm giving up TV, I'm giving up laptop, I'm giving up all kinds of devices, and I'm going to sit in the Himalayas, and I'm going to do this. And then what? And then afterwards, no news in the world, what is happening, he or she doesn't know. The fellow has gone and is sitting on top of a small hillock, and is sitting there. Then a few tourists come by, they are just going, they are all tourists, so he wants to talk to them, what is happening? Oh, don't you know, this is what is going on, that is what is going on. Here, this is being given, and the government is giving some free things. All these things the person hears. And then what? comes down from the mountain because the longing hasn't gone. Even if the person returns, the longing is still very much there. Very much there. The longing hasn't been resolved. Same thing happens to people who say they want to die in Kashi. So they repair to a simple life. They go to Varanasi, Benares, it used to be called Varanasi. They go and then they take up a small little place to rent or something like that and stay there for 5-6 years. Then all the relatives say, oh, you have a grandchild, you have a great-grandchild, and come back. Then they go back. And still the longing is there. Even though they have spent 5-10 years away from the family, the 2 minutes after they enter the family, same control issues, same problems, same inability to get along with others. Because wherever you go, you take yourself. You can't leave yourself behind. And so the problem is not these sense objects. The problem is not even the sense organs. What is the problem? That ahankara which is addicted. The addiction to samsara is the problem. One has become a samsara-holic. That is the problem. This is the problem. So the root cause here is the longing for this kind of a life, where I can indulge in whatever I want, whenever I want, even though that's not true. Because between one unfulfilled desire and the person, it takes a long time to fulfill even one desire, what to talk of all the desires that one has. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, the cautions in this verse, a very beautiful note of caution. Repression can be a sadhana, but it is not the way. Otherwise, as we will see in the 3rd chapter, the person will be called mithyachara, a fraud. Somebody who pretends to walk the walk, but doesn't walk the talk. You have to be able to walk the Vedanta talk. And if you are not able to walk the talk, then Bhagavan Krishna is going to say that such a person is a fraud, an impostor. And so here there is a caution that yes, even though this is a sadhana for the jnani who wants, for the one who wants to be a jnani, beware, because some kind of a complacent feeling, that kind of a feeling can come. I have reached. See, I can be without this. And then what? After a while, you go back in that situation and again that overpowers one. That's why we have all these anonymous, what is that called? Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. Very beautiful there. So there, the first thing they say is, they introduce themselves like this. I am an alcoholic, number one. Even though they might have given up drinking, but that rasa is still there. That's why they are asked to introduce like this. And the second thing is, I have no power over alcohol. You put me in a room with alcohol and then the bottle will be empty. And therefore what? Since I have no power over this substance, whatever the substance may be, food, alcohol, whatever the issue is, I need help from a higher power. That is one of the tenets, one of the steps in the 12 steps. It's a 12-step program of de-addiction. And so one of the steps is, I need help. I want help from a higher power. They don't say God because many people are allergic to the concept of God because it has been pushed down their throat with a stick, some version of God. And so they say higher power. So similarly here, when one tests oneself, how far can I go with this? How many days can I go with this? Oh, the longing is still there. It is something to be aware of. And this is the difference between somebody who is just practicing an appearance of what is that called? An appearance of being very objective and having overcome this or that, but then inside the rasa is there. But then this one, the Lord Krishna says, Param drishtva rasaha api nivartate. Param drishtva. Param drishtva means in the light of the goal. What is the goal here? Brahman. Brahman is the goal. The goal is not an ordinary goal. Everybody can't say Brahman is my goal. Most people will say, I want to get married, I want to get a promotion, I want to have children, I want to have a better, different job, I want to build a house. These are people's goals. How few are the people who can say, I want to know I am the whole? Very few people in the whole world think about it. Very few people can say that, and so, therefore, Lord Krishna praises them very quietly and says this is not an ordinary goal. So even if you practice this kind of what is that called? So giving up this or that, even if you practice some sacrifice, and if you sacrifice the sense organs and the sense objects, still what happens is that when you have Brahman as the goal, then it is not considered repression. Why? Because this is how one has grown up. So the baby has to be weaned from the mother's milk. And what does the mother do? Feeding bottle. Then the baby is addicted to the feeding bottle. Then what do? Then you have a cup with a little sip on it, like something you can sip. And then after that, then the baby is wanting some blanket, security blanket. Then that is taken away and something else is given. Then it gets addicted to a toy car or a toy teddy bear or a doll, and that is taken away and something else the baby catches. As the child grows, so too the dependencies keep changing until one has got the best toy in the whole world, the smartphone. After that it doesn't graduate or change into anything else. It still remains that only. So in this way, you just how to overcome a particular addiction. You catch on to something else. This is how we have grown up. The person in the wheelchair graduates after breaking a leg. The person is in the wheelchair, then you graduate to what? Crutches, walker. Walker is better, then you can have one more step. Then after walker, crutches. After crutches, walking stick. After walking stick, nothing, you can let go of that as well. So it is like a gradual thing here. So if you catch hold of that, which doesn't catch hold of anything else, which doesn't need anything else, the Parama, the ultimate goal in life, which is Bhagavan, not just Bhagavan as some guy in the sky, but Bhagavan as yourself, as the truth of your nature, that is what you have got hold of tightly. Then, even though the longings are there, the longing will also drop, and your tapas will be blessed. Your tapas will not be wasted. But without focus on Brahma Vidya, all the tapas that one may do, not eating Ekadashi and Maunam and all these things, they are of no use unless and until they are accompanied by Brahma Vidya, a serious quest. So now we can take this as sense organs also, sense objects also, Vishayaha, sense objects also come back from what? They get disconnected from the sense organs, we can say that. So Param Drishtva, when Drishtva means not seeing, you can't see Brahman, being, okay? Seeing means understanding. So Param Drishtva, when you understand Brahman, when Brahman is the goal, then all these longings go away. Then one more cautionary verse is given. Yatato hyapi kaunteya
यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि
इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः
हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः
यततः अपि. Even for the person who is working hard on this path, giving up the things that do not help the quest, and then studying Vedanta, all these things the person is doing. Who, for this person, Purushasya, for this person, who is what? Vipashchitaha, Vipashchit, very nice word, Vipashchit, from the Kathopanishad, used in the Kathopanishad. Najayate Priyate Va Vipashchit. Vipashchit means a person of wisdom. Here it means a person of almost wisdom. So the almost a jnani, almost there, very clear knowledge, and the longings are also being cleaned off and worked on with great effort. The person has put a lot of effort. Indriyani pramadhini. The indriyas fall down, make a mistake. The indriyas pramadhini means they are stubborn, they make a mistake. They derail. Here also you can catch yourself. If the indriyas derail and go after something, you can say, no, come back. Back, come on. Like calling a pet dog. No, don't go there. Don't go behind the squirrels. Come back here. We are going for a walk this way. Come back. You can tell like a pet dog on a leash. But sometimes when you see pet dogs on leashes, I wonder, is the person taking the dog for a walk, or is the dog taking the person for a walk? Usually who is in front? Dog. Person is in the back. And the dog is training and going somewhere, and the person is helplessly going along with both hands holding the leash. So, this way, if the dog is indriyas and the person holding the leash is the person, it's anybody's guess who is taking who for a walk. So the indriyas can slip, fall, get derailed. Indriyani pramadhini. But then you can pick that up and say, no, stop, enough, we are not doing this. But unfortunately, they catch hold of the mind and bring the mind along with them. Bring the mind also along with them. Indriyani pramadhini haranti, kidnap, to take away. Here, abduct, hijack the mind also. If the mind goes, then finished. Haranti prasabham means forcefully. Haranti prasabham manaha. So, this is like, we have so many stories in the Puranas. All these kinds of stories, rishis doing great tapas. And then what? Then suddenly, wanting to get married to somebody. Vishwamitra was not, Vishwamitra's tapas was to get Kamadhenu, the wish-fulfilling cow. That's why he wanted to do tapas, because he thought, if I become desireless, then I can command this cow. He wanted that cow. But then he was suppressing his urges, he was suppressing everything. And the other day Swamiji told us that if anybody does a lot of tapas, the celestials get nervous. Indra especially gets very nervous. And so Indra sends the heavenly nymph. What is her name? Menaka. Menaka goes, and Vishwamitra opens one eye, because some nice gungru sounds, anklet sounds, wonderful heavenly perfume is wafting. He opens one eye, and when he sees her, opens both eyes, and then after that gone. Haranti prasabham manaha. And then he said, apparently he said somewhere that this I cannot overcome this. This is prabala prarabdha. This prarabdha is too forceful for me to overcome. The cow will have to wait. Tapas will have to wait. So then he gets married to her and everything, and then comes back. Because the motivation to be, he wanted to become a Rajarshi. He was a Kshatriya, but he wanted to become a Rajarshi. He wanted to be called Rajarshi or Maharshi because the cow will only listen to Maharishi. And that Sandhi you have studied, right? Mahan plus Rishi. Yeah, so he wanted to become a Maharshi. And so therefore his motivation was that. His motivation was not, I want to be free of samsara. Then the whole, in the next verses, the whole process of derailment is described step by step, blow by blow. Very interesting. And therefore it is important to be vigilant at all times. The last two verses have told us that. More we'll see tomorrow. Om Purnamada
Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
We need 2 volunteers for